Hello to all. It's a pleasure to me moderate this panel. When the organization proposed me this, I straight away say yes because I think this is such an interesting subject. As the presenter say, we have lived some sort of this. I remember when we were in Madrid and we were one of the first of the world to get in our houses in 24 hours. We have a process, but I feel that your experience is completely different what you live. So for the first round of the panel, I will ask you, all of you, to introduce yourself and make a short description of your business so everyone can understand what your business is about and the context under you have behaved. And after that, we will talk a little bit more about how have you lived this process. So we go in this order.
Okay, I'm first to start. My name is Tanya Marinic, and I'm founder and CEO of Imaguru Startup Hub. I'm also a venture capital investor, and we have a quite unique experience. Usually companies and startups move and they relocate. We as a hub, as a community of businesses, as a community of startups, experienced relocation. Usually startup hubs, and that's what we do throughout the 10 years experience, develop the ecosystem, innovation, grow companies, help grow unicorns, which happens to our community too. PandaDoc is one of the first unicorn, well actually the first unicorn in exile, so-called. And we do invest in the most promising companies. But unfortunately, in our case, it was not planned. We had to relocate, and now we are spread across Europe in different countries.
We will talk a little bit later about that. Please.
Yeah, my name is Erdal Kılınç. I'm from Diyorum Events. Diyorum Events is an application for this kind of events to get people to meet each other and then manage their agenda and do the communication. That's pretty much similar with some more functions that you are using today during the South Summit.
Hi everyone, my name is Solange. I'm from PandaDoc. I'm the HR business partner. So I will try to give you an HR side from this, an HR perspective from these processes. PandaDoc is a SaaS company, so we are a document software, automation software that allows you to create proposals, contracts, codes, so everything that you can recall you can create there. You can interact with different participants in that document, and obviously the process ends with this signature. We are 100% remote since the beginning, so since 2011. So we are used to work globally with different teams in different locations, but considering all the political tensions, last year we created the De-risk Belarus, so we relocate teams from Belarus to Portugal and Poland. Portugal, where I'm from, by the way. And also, considering the war situation that is currently happening, we also moved from Ukraine, from Belarus, and from Russia, our employees to, again, Portugal and Poland. So I hope to give you a perspective of this.
Hi, my name is Alec. I'm CEO of 80 Days. We are creating a system that helps plan multi-destination trips around Europe for $200 or around the globe for $900 without early morning flights, with trains, with ferries, ships, buses. We are creating a multi-city itinerary. So, and our 40% of our travelers is relocated guys from Europe, from Italy, from Spain, who don't know very well Europe. Yeah.
So the obligatory question is, in which circumstance did you relocate? The context, and explain us how you felt and how you manage all this complexity.
Well, actually, our story is quite complicated and challenging and quite unusual, as I said, because usually countries and governments, they need innovation, they need entrepreneurs, they need people who are developing innovative products and invest into them. In our case, it happened that because of, we won't speak politics here, but it's not about politics, it's just, it happened to be that we are from the country where entrepreneurs are not needed. And our business was shut down by the regime, and we had to relocate or close business. Amazingly, there are countries in Europe which welcome innovation. And I got a call from our neighbors, Minister of Economy of Lithuania, who told me, Tanya, just come here and establish your hub. And of course, we did that. That's what's not easy. We will be speaking about challenges later. But currently, we are located in Lithuania. We are part of the team located in Poland, Eastern Europe, and we are happy to be based here in Madrid, which is a very new destination. And somehow we are covering all Europe, from Nordic countries to Southern Europe here in Madrid, and also we have a very small team here. We are planning to, well, if the situation allows in Ukraine, to launch an office in Kiev.
Amazing that all the countries are looking for talent.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you find out that even you have talent and they're telling you, please leave, we don't want you. Amazing. But good for us. Good for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Madrid is completely open, and there are other cities in
Thank
Spain,
you,
so
yeah.
you can choose any city. We love talent, and we love
truly speaking,
anyone.
we enjoy the ecosystem here, and yeah, again, we are just starting meeting players, but we see the ecosystem really welcomes engineering talent, entrepreneurs,
Yeah,
and
sure,
that's
sure.
something that needed here.
Sure, we do. And what about you?
Basically, our story is not really mobilization of the teams. It was most like after the COVID, when it hit, we had to scale our team bigger, and then we had to localize the team so that we end up finding our developers team in Kazakhstan, some interns in Singapore, our salespeople in Canada, marketing people in Canada, and then in Turkey and Dubai, again, sales and marketing, and our headquarters is in Finland. So with COVID, we start building a remote team that we had to build up the culture. And then, if you remember, back in January this year, there was a coup attempt in Kazakhstan, which we lost our connection to our developers for like 10 days, no internet. And we were planning to...
No agile updates anymore.
we were planning to move them to Russia, which that conflict got solved in like 10 days, and we were kind of lucky that we did not move them to Russia, because we had to mobilize them again.
Where are you moving to not to go there? Because it seems you go to the whole place.
Exactly the point. So the challenge were like, building a team culture, building the company culture, giving the same perspective of the founders and the product to remote teams, and then you realize in a startup world, you have a bigger challenge with the political risk if you are dealing with remote teams in all these countries. And that's where we are at.
So from Pandadoc side, the situation was we are working since ever in a remote way. So we were used to that. We had everything prepared to that. So the question here is, or was, our founders are from Belarus, and the core business of our structure, so the engineering and the product team, they were mainly in Belarus, Ukraine, and so in Minsk, Kiev, and some of them has a digital nomads in Russia. So the situation started last year because of the political tensions and so on. We started to prevent and trying to predict what will be the future. So we started moving there at that time the pandas, so the employees, to other locations. And this is why we decided to open Portugal as a new entity, and also Poland has a new entity also. So we started the de-risk project last year. We moved 64 pandas to Poland and 11 to Portugal. We will talk after about challenge, but one of the challenges in Portugal is everything. The process is very easy, but takes time. And when people are in a rush to move their lives, obviously they cannot wait. So this is why we have the reflection of the numbers. With Ukraine situation, so we passed this again, and we had some people, and we were discussing this previously, the four of us, that they did 2 relocation process in less than 1 year. And we needed to move the teams right away from Kiev, from Minsk, and from some of them from Russia to Portugal and Poland. Now we have 47 in Portugal and 34 in Poland. So we are trying to move everyone in a total of 183 pandas that were there in the beginning of the situation, so last year.
So our points was local languages. We are living in Turkey, and in Turkey nobody known Russians and English. Second point was internet, because we are here. Why? Because internet. We are here because internet can solve our problem. Can help us work everywhere, every globe. Yeah. So.
And what have been the challenge you faced during this process?
Look, first of all, when it comes to relocation, I would actually identify 2 types of relocation. The first one is something you plan, which is normal. You plan, you want to, for example, enter a new market, you see talent there, so you want to acquire talent in a country, so you plan it. In our case, it was completely unplanned. It's just something sudden. And when it's sudden, then the first challenge is the first question you ask yourself: where to relocate? Where? And well, we were lucky, and as I said, there was a kind invite by the minister. When the minister invites you, you kind of can't resist. So Lithuania was the first choice. And then, of course, we're all humans, and we have connections to some countries, some personal stories. And for example, myself, I was based in Madrid because I'm graduated from my business school. So I have plenty of contacts here, and that helped me to establish to start new business and to establish, to meet people, to establish the ecosystem, etc. Some of our team members have personal relations to Poland just because it's neighboring country. So they relocated there. And that's how we selected the country. The second challenge for us, and I guess it's common for everyone, it's bureaucracy, unfortunately. Despite the fact that the 3 countries we've chosen belongs to the European Union, the rules are completely different everywhere. And, well, in one country it may take a month to get a permit, startup, or whatever, entrepreneurship permits. In countries like Spain, it takes a bit longer, I would say. And yeah, so bureaucracy is kind of something we can't really deal with it. I mean, we can't really influence, and we just can, well, find connections, solutions, and it's kind of hard to really resist. And the third one, of course, it's always cost, it's money. It's not the relocation, especially when it comes to teams, like in our case, it's 30 people. You have to relocate, you have to pay the relocation package for each team member. So it's, and again, as I said, it was not planned, so you have to have some cash to relocate.
Yeah.
So, on my end, it's a really funny panel here. Huh? We have a Belarusian lady living in Spain, a guy from Turkey that lives in Finland. Solange, you are the only one Portuguese and Portugal.
Yeah.
And then Ale, he's from Belarus and he lives in Turkey. So this is actually how the startup world, the IT world is becoming. Like, you know, people are so flexible after this COVID that we learned how we can remotely work. Now, coming to the challenges of mobilization or relocating teams, like, you know, if you have a project that you need to deploy a team for a period of time, like 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years, That's called, like, that's mobilization. You know it, you can send the person to the project area, they work 2 months and they come back their homes for a time. Or when you are expatriating someone, only that person is coming to the country. You know that the deal is already there, it has been there. But relocating a team is a totally big challenge. When you need to relocate a team, there is always either a financial or economical or political problem there. Like in Belarus, in Ukraine, or in Russia, or any other country it might be. So now people are moving with their families, and they have kids, and their wives, most of the time in IT world, that people are highly skilled, and they are married to highly skilled people. So when the families, the spouses move, they cannot adjust. There's a language barrier, there's a culture barrier. Kids' schools have to be planned, and etc. So what happened when the things were going to, let's say, south in Belarus, in Finland, we start communicating with immigration and the foreign ministry, and then somehow we managed to expedite entrepreneurship visa. And we reached out to all the schools, cities in Finland, and we asked the cities to guarantee English education to their kids. Like, Finland is a nation state, so it's like Finnish and Swedish, the official languages. So many cities guaranteed the English education for entrepreneurs or teams to be relocated. So now we have this war out there, and there are lots of Russian teams that are not able to work because of sanctions, because of the internet problems, and etc. And now in Finland, there is a new program that's being developed, like expedited in 2 weeks, highly qualified skill can be brought. Again, yet the challenge is always the same. You have to think about the family, you have to think about the kids, the schools need to be adjusted, the society needs to be adjusted. Like, Ale is in Turkey. I know back in 2011, I helped a British company to relocate a team of 40 developers from Syria to Turkey, and then somehow they were not really accepted by the society, so they had to be isolated. You even have to plan this, how they melt into the societies, which areas they can live in peace, and how they can send their kids to school and further.
So yeah, I believe that when we are talking about relocating teams and challenges that are associated, we need to think in two perspectives. One is the company and the other is the country. The country perspective is exactly what you mentioned before, that we need to think about if it's a safe place to relocate teams, even if we cannot predict the future, obviously, but if the country has the good conditions to if the time zone is good for the business, because when we are working globally, we need to adjust the time zones of each one of the teams. So it's important to have this in consideration, and can be a problem if we do it without any type of planning before. Hiring people. So when we move teams, we expect them to stay there for the long time as possible, but we know that we don't have anymore a live job. So we need to be prepared to replace the person or the team. So we need to understand the market, if we have the right talent there, if they speak English, for example, because in PandaDoc, it's our main language. It's mandatory to speak in English. And for example, when we moved people from Russian, from Belarusian, from Ukraine, we had a problem because some of the teams were only made by Russians or only made by Russian speaking. And now they need to adjust to a new language and a new country. The other thing is obviously the money associated, the financial part. We need to understand if that country has the financial beneficial that will allow your company to have a boost there. And the other challenge that I think that we will face, and is something that we should think when we are talking about moving people, it's the culture. It's totally different when you have a team only for this, composed for only one nationality, for example, or when you have mixed cultures in the same team. And I can tell you that we needed to adjust this in PandaDoc when we started to have to hiring people in Portugal, for example, because Latin are totally different from the East European countries, and that was a full-time job for the HR team, because the managers needed to understand how to communicate with employees with different cultures, how to have difficult conversation with them. And for example, we send a book that it's the cultural mapping, that it's a book that it's a good tool for everyone that thinks about moving teams, and we send them to all the managers and to all the employees that were moving, because it's a way for them to trying to understand the cultural profile of each one of the team members and trying to avoid simple stuff that can become and transform in a complex situation between employee and manager. The other thing that I totally agree with Tanya is bureaucratical issues that we deal and face with in those processes. So one of the strategies that I advise, if I can do it, is try to find a very good partner, a very good agency that will help you doing the relocation process. You can have a very senior HR person and a head of finance in those countries helping you to be legally compliant, but to have someone on your back to help you, because no one was prepared for the war, for example. And even if we have a standard procedure for relocating people, with the war situation, we needed to adjust and to adapt. The embassies were closed. The employees it was impossible for them to get the criminal record or other documents. So how to work in these type of situations? So having a partner that will help you think out of the box on those type of situations is something beneficial.
So we have faced this challenge, like big challenge, family. Say family, because many our guys must work in Turkey, but their family live in Belarus, for example, because many services don't work in Belarus and Russia, for example, and this is very not cheap, very expensive challenge. Move their family to Turkey or other countries. We are not rich. Yeah. And the second challenge is searching information, where I can eat, how I can get resident permit, how I can get legalize, how I can open a bank account, because many people would like earn on us. Yeah, sorry for my English. Yeah, that's
amazing. One of the questions that comes to my mind, because I try to understand your experience from the experience I have. I teach Ukrainians Spanish, that they're refugees, and I see how they are having economic problems, of course, because at the end, it's a force. I think this is important, the difference. I was thinking in COVID when we moved, because we moved to our houses. And here you're talking about people that they have sometimes destroyed their houses, or they have left their houses, or they have completely moved to strange houses. So open questions for any one of you who want to answer. What is the most difficult of everything you explained? Like, I don't know if in the mind of these people they are. I know this is a very weird question, because everything is coming in my mind. Like some people, they feel they are going to go back, but I understand some of the cases you are talking about. People just they don't want to burn. They're just trying to make it a new life. So this is not our work. This is a very complex personal situation where everything changed. No, I feel like that. So can you add something from this? Anyone? Open question.
So. When the war broke out, there were full planes loaded with IT people moving to Armenia or Georgia or Turkey from Russia. And most of the people, because their families were back in Russia, they could not send the money back, they went back. How many of you here, can you raise your hands if you watched the Terminal movie by Tom Hanks? Nobody?
Hey, there's a hand right there.
Okay, so please, when you have time, watch the movie Terminal by Tom Hanks. That's like a guy that he flies. He's stuck in an airport in US, and there is a coup d'etat in his country, so his passport is not valid anymore. So he cannot get into US, and he cannot go back to his country because the country doesn't exist. So basically, when we are relocating teams, all these people we are relocating are individual Tom Hanks. They are stuck in a terminal. Yes, they are stuck in like Helsinki or Madrid or Lisbon or Antalya, but they are stuck until they adjust, until they learn the language and etc. So the best way to understand, to get ourselves ready how relocated people can feel is to go through this terminal movie by Tom Hanks.
Anyone else?
I had a similar situation and a real one happening this year. So when the war started, we had an offsite in Portugal with 30 Ukrainian and Belarusian guys in Lisbon. We started in 22 and the war started in 24. So basically they get stuck in Lisbon. And I had the HR offsite too. So, and I can tell you, even watching the movie, and I saw it, no one prepares us to these type of situations because I was with 30 people in front of me telling me that they cannot go back. And I can tell you also that PandaDoc, all the HR people, so starting from the payroll specialist to the HR business partner to the VP, we stopped our role and we were focused on relocating those who were there and trying to give for those who were in Lisbon the best conditions. So I rented what we called a panda house. That was basically a huge house for everyone because we wanted them to feel in community. And for the first month, it was assured by the company everything. Okay, so we tried to give them the closest feeling of safety that was possible in that situation. Some of them trying to return, some of them tried to bring the families to Portugal, for example. So I passed a similar situation, and I can tell you
Reality stays movies.
Yes, unfortunately.
Well, last question, because we're running out of time. I think this is super interesting. Something positive. What do you think we can help you? You know, there are people complaining a little bit because they say that we are treating some nationalities over others for the situation. But from the positive view, what do you think we can do more from the ecosystem, from the big companies, whatever you think? Because we are running out of time, so what do you think?
So very quick, on the country level, I would suggest welcome to Europe entrepreneurial package. Just one equal for every European Union country. That's what kind of cut
Wonderful.
Bureaucracy. On the cultural level, or companies level, ecosystem level, and I think it's really important we discuss here culture today. I think it's really important to integrate people into the local culture. I'm a foreigner here in Madrid. Without your support, guys, without the support of the entrepreneurial ecosystem, I can't do anything. I will always feel a foreigner here, but I want to feel just a player here, another player who is adding value to the ecosystem development. And that's really on us, on all of us, on how we treat each other.
Yeah, I think we leave it here. We are running out of time. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Amazing panel.
Thank you.